Hello, trading is closed on July 11th, 2022. Let's start with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for Tuesday, the 12th of July, 2022. Remember, I can be completely wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. I could really be wrong today because I've been busy all day, just haven't had much time to analyze things. Anyone who wants to risk money should keep in mind that I haven't spent the amount of time I normally do. Look for the pattern with the early low, which is this, and tomorrow should have the early high. We had a target of 38.91.37, and that certainly printed. We have a new target from today's patterns, 38.71.43. Now, unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for that to print, but the technical picture here is so weak, I think it might not work. Now, back here on Thursday, we said at Thursday's close, we said this wall with gap pattern should fill at some point. If it didn't fill Friday, the next most common time was Monday's open. We came within a fraction of closing it, and you might think that's good enough because when you have a diamond on stilts, here's your stilt, here's your stilt, here's your diamond, the origin of the left stilt is support. Support doesn't have to hold, and you could argue it's held so far, maybe it will. But the point is, I don't think we've actually closed this, have we? The close here was 38.45.08. Our low print was 38.47.22. So we've used up the support usually offered in this area without actually satisfying a target, which should print at some point. And the implication of that is if we continue lower, I wouldn't look for the support we normally get. So if we do drop here, it could be significant. Well, during the day, MEJT said this move was false, wouldn't stick. It didn't. We had an ultimate sell signal, so even though we went up, ultimately we traded down. Now says this isn't for keeps, gives us a 38.71.43 target. Just remember, at major changes in trend, which this could be, MEJT typically leaves an unfilled target. And if it doesn't leave an unfilled target, maybe it isn't a major change in trend. Now this is the count we're using, and all these things still work, and it gives us a target of 32.29.36 if last week's high holds. When wave black C will have a good fib relationship with black A, and magenta C will have a good relationship with magenta A, and gray C will have a good fib relationship with magenta A. So it doesn't have to work. But if we do start to have a big drop here, which I think is entirely possible, there's a much lower plausible target. Much lower. Doesn't mean other numbers don't work. But if we start collapsing, that's the number I would look for. And here's the shorter term chart. Here's another target here, but you can make all kinds of targets. The point is, this is a perfect wave count, and unless we can break over recent highs, the wave count's calling for much lower prices. Now, any move like this has to be confirmed. I mean, you have to trade under today's low by 1 cent. We gap up here tomorrow, which I can't say is impossible. Then we're going to have an inverted diamond on stilts in the other direction. Anything's possible. But right now, this is pretty precarious territory, if you ask me. Just a reminder, I didn't spend as much time as I normally do analyzing things. We do have signals which are mixed, some positive, some negative, so we'll use our mixed signals rules. Now, tomorrow's pattern has a early high. We could still gap down. Typically, it's a rally day with the final hour high. Failure is a straight line drop. There's a higher MEJT target. Unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for it to print. The potential downside is so great here. I'm just not looking for trades on the long side, regardless of what the indicators say. Now, I can change my mind tomorrow, but this isn't when I intend to play at this point. And if I do play it, I need a pretty tight stop. It is bullish. There's a higher target, and that we closed over intraday lows after the gap down. But if we gap and promptly undercut today's lows, that vitiates the pattern. What counts isn't today's close, but tomorrow's open. But it's negative. The wave count calls for much lower prices, and that we fell just short of closing the gap in the wall with gap pattern, and that should use up whatever support one usually finds under the low of the wall if we continue lower from where we are now. Feel the market's running with scissors here. Wouldn't take too much more downside to make the decline irrecoverable anytime soon. Hasn't yet. This still needs confirmation. When you open up here tomorrow, it all goes away. But for right now, this thing stopped right where the wave count wanted it to stop. We got the straight line drop we normally get when this pattern doesn't hit highs. And usually, when you get the straight line drop, you got more lows coming. You could argue this was it. Doesn't break any rules. But still, I'd be pretty apprehensive here about the market's prospects if we started to keep on dropping. This could be a long way down here. So tomorrow has the early high. It's typically a rally day, but if it isn't, it's usually a straight line drop, and I sure can't rule that out. And that is today's call.